And we are required to have this background, like Berkeley background, official work. Otherwise, I would have just shown you my place where I live. Huh?
That is your place. That is the university.
This is the university. Yeah, this is a tower. It's called Campanile.
Sir,
And yeah.
sir, I have started the live session.
Oh,
It's
okay.
live in YouTube now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
A very good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome and thank everyone for joining us in today's webinar. My name is Dr. Lalai Sangswali, Deputy Librarian in Mizoram University Central Library, and I'm one of the two organizers for today's webinar. And today we are presenting Leveraging the E-Access During the Pandemic, which will be presented by Dr. Liladhar Pense. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Liladhar Pense, who is a librarian for Slavic and Eastern European and Eurasian Studies, Central Asian Studies, and a librarian for the Caribbean and Latin American collections at the University of California, Berkeley, USA. Prior to working in University of California, Berkeley, Dr. Liladhar had worked as librarian in Princeton University and the University of California, Los Angeles. Regarding teaching experience, Dr. Liladhar is at present adjunct faculty member in the School of Information Science at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. Dr. Liladhar had a number of awards and fellowships at his credit, and he speaks 19 languages. And I should say that we are very fortunate to have him today with us today as the speaker. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to our speaker, Dr. Liladhar Pense, to talk about leveraging e-access during the pandemic. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I should say salam, sat sri akal, namaste to all. I wish I could speak Mizo. This is one of the languages which I don't speak. So please forgive me for that. I will try to do my best next time. I will share my screen and start my presentation now. If you have any, as I understand, this will be a short presentation followed by question and answers. So as you know, COVID is rampaging all over the world. In the US, we know that it came around in March, and we had to deal with those externalities, right? What do I mean by that? These are the factors which are beyond our control. Once the virus was here, it started to prowl, infecting people, giving them infections, as well as making them extremely sick. And initially, there were certain measures which we had to take in consideration to stop and prevent further spread of the virus. So I'm briefly showing you the library where I work. It's an older building from the early 20th century, and it's called the Doe Library, which is a central campus library which holds over 14 million books. So just imagine when we are going to shut down the complete library to a certain extent to prevent the spread of the virus, what will happen to the students, faculty, and rest of the users? Can you hear me, everybody? Yeah? Okay. So first I will talk about introduction and the problem statement, which I'm already talking about. Then I will talk about strategies.
Excuse me, Dr. Liladhar. May I interrupt? I forgot to, and I have to make 2 announcements.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Okay. So for the participants, like a little bit of housekeeping before we go further. If any of the participants have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box, bottom of the screen. In the middle of the session, feedback form will be shared in the chat box for all the participants. And all the participants are requested to fill up the form for certificate. Thank you.
So, well, can I carry on now? First of all, everything starts with thank you, right? So I must thank Dr. Silo and Dr. Manoj Kumar Verma for inviting me to speak at a prestigious Mizoram University in Aizawl. It's a real honor to present at this webinar some ideas and some thoughts about how we are dealing with current situation of coronavirus in the state, in the city of Berkeley, as well as in the library, so that we can leverage our e-access to further knowledge, instructions, and continue to provide information services to our users. As you can see from the slide, here is the presentation map. First, as I said, I already gave you some background about how, what, when about the coronavirus, and I'll continue that later on. Then the second stop is strategies which we deployed. Third, facet of this presentation will deal with e-access. I was looking at the site of, for example, Mizoram University's library, and I know that you have access to Taylor and Francis journals as well as Wiley electronic access. And when I looked at it, it says to access free coronavirus resources or related research. So I will briefly dwell on that. I will talk about the open access, the way I understand it, the way we use it here. I will talk about HathiTrust, ETAS, which is Emergency Technical Access Service. I will talk about proprietary databases that we have. And lastly, the biggest concern for all of us as the librarians who manage budgets is the costs of providing services and cost of acquiring, maintaining, and preserving the resources we have. So the next slide should not come as a surprise to you, simply because this is the COVID-19 data. These are the clusters as of today from the John Hopkins. The credit goes to their site. And if you see, there have been 119,000 new cases reported as of November 10th. In India, it shows that there are about 8.5 million confirmed cases and 127,000 deaths. So although as a population of India is almost approaching 1.2 billion, if I'm not mistaken, still the amount of cases and the way the virus is spreading without proper treatment, how the emergency doctors are dealing with has constrained all of us as a society, right? Whether it's in India, it's in the Western Europe. Western Europe is again locking down. We were very fortunate at UC Berkeley and in the Berkeley, because in March of 2020, the county of Alameda, where we are located, like you have state structure or union territories in India, we have states and counties. So the county, like a municipality, let's put it this way in your understanding, issued an order which is called shelter in place. Stay at home as much as possible, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart. Following that shelter in place order, which happened also in San Francisco City, it happened in Palo Alto, where, for example, if you see Silicon Valley, it happened in San Jose and different parts of the Bay Area, which is in the Northern California. Our city also issued an order saying that coronavirus response campus directive. If you see here, our chancellor and vice chancellor decided that it's best if we have followed the suit of the county guidelines when it comes to the public health. So we had to come up with some ideas, right? When you completely close down something, then you have to restart it at one point. And especially the library are service points within the university. What do I mean by that? Library provides an essential service of knowledge creation, knowledge preservation, knowledge access, and provides other services like providing reference consultations, book borrowing privileges. We also do selections. For example, I don't know how it works in Mizoram or other parts of India. Here, each of us as a selectors for particular area have a budget that we have to manage. And that budget comes from state as well as from the federal resources as well as from the donations. And we have certain guidelines on how to spend that budget, and we have complete academic freedom on what we can buy. Usually faculty don't interfere in our work. They respect us as professionals. So if you see here, UC Berkeley Library decided that there will be chapter principle or 5 stages to support expanded digital resources and gradual reopening of the physical spaces and services in light of COVID-19. Principle 1, adhere to campus, local, state, national public health authority directives. Nobody is above the law. There are no backdoor entries. Everybody follows the same rules. And that was the mandate which was issued by our state, our local ordinances, and we have to follow it. Principle 2, protect the safety and well-being of library workforce. Library is as strong as its workforce, right? And we have different nationalities, different linguistic speakers, different people from different countries working in the same environment. And that's what makes us stronger, that we are so different, but yet we are united. So we wanted to protect the safety and well-being of the library workforce. Principle 3, act to ensure the best possible public health outcomes for our user populations. Why? Because if student comes and somebody from the library staff is a silent carrier of particular, let's say, a virus, if it spreads, then what happens? Most of our students, many of them do live in the dormitories, or in India, you call them hostels. If the virus spreads in the hostels, how are we going to contain it? There are a lot of different considerations, because students are the future of our country. And if we don't take care of them, what will happen? Yeah, basic human principles. So then there is a principle 4, within the scope of libraries' missions of helping current and future users find, evaluate, use, and create knowledge, advance the university's goals of sustaining Berkeley quality instruction and research, and enhancing a sense of community. You know, in this world, when we are under a so-called lockdown or shelter in place, community, being a part of community matters, because all of us are isolated in our homes to a certain extent. And our, let me say, our window to the world is usually through Zoom or other social media platforms such as Facebook, YouTube Live. For example, this is getting streamed on YouTube right now, so people can watch it. We do need to build this physical community and maintain that that sentiment, not sentence. And principle 5, to prioritize the needs of UC Berkeley students, faculty, and staff to support recruitment, retention, academic success, and research productivity. To remain productive is a big challenge, right, in this era of COVID isolation. And libraries administration has done everything possible for us to have constant training sessions, different types of meetings, different types of, even our group, for example, has every Tuesday morning something called virtual coffee meeting. So it's a very informal meeting for 45 minutes when we meet together. We talk to each other. We really care for each other, support each other in these bad times. You know, one thing is that every place in the world I have been has 4 P's. P like, you know, Paul. What do I mean? What do I mean by that? There are policies which are in place, which help institution to work. Then there are procedures which everybody follows, right? There are people who are together trying to achieve something else. And the last 4th P, which is not the least important, which is called politics. Every workplace has these in different ways. You know, in some places it's based on national origin, in other places it might be based on religious affiliations or ethnic affiliations. So these exist in every part of the world. But what is the most important?
Dr.
Yes.
Your voice seems not too clear. So can you
Okay.
make it?
I can speak up. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
All
Hello.
right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So if it breaks down, I have to reboot because the internet connection speed is like, I have the DSL at home, and that's the best we can work through. So the sixth one is to prioritize online services and tools that support remote users and workers throughout the period that the campus anticipates remote working. Teaching and learning to be part of the organization. What do I mean by that? When we are working from home, we have technological needs. So campus gave us our laptops, work laptops, which we can take home and access certain backend software for our work, which is needed. So next slide. Okay, so these are the chapters which I was talking about. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, and Chapter 5. You can call it Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, Stage 4, and Stage 5. Currently, we are in Chapter 2, and we are transitioning gradually towards Chapter 3. I hope you can see the slide, which shows you exactly how the transition takes place. These chapters are not necessarily fixed in time or space. What do I mean by that? Nobody's telling our administration or to us saying that, oh, no, you must, by November, you should be in Chapter 3. No, it depends on public health conditions. It depends on the intensity of a COVID pandemic here, for example. So we can always go back to Chapter 2 if we need arises. We can go to Chapter 4 and see how it works. We expand locations to accommodate physical presence on campus. But if that doesn't work, then we have to go back. So it's not like somebody's telling us, no, you must be by May, everything should be fine, and you open up your session in such a way that people can start going back to the normal. We understand that we are in the new normal. So, okay, so these are some of the strategies you can see. Every time the motto is safety first. HathiTrust, which I'm going to dwell upon, I can either show you or I can show you how it works. These are the what they call it, a site map of a sort, which will enable you to see how library is trying to encourage users to use e-access, for example. And we always have these weekly news updates, and we do have bi-weekly all library-wide meeting in the morning, which is called town hall. We ask all sorts of questions to our administrators. If something is not clear, they answer our questions, and it's like back and forth. So there is a constant information flow. Nothing is hidden from us. No, it's very transparent. That's what I like about the country where I live. People are extremely forthcoming, professional, and transparent. My colleagues, our administration, I have seen other libraries, they are the same. I was talking to my colleagues in San Diego or in Florida this morning. We are always constantly talking about what we can leverage. So let's go next to the open access at UC Berkeley. Open access is given at UC Berkeley. Our library led an initiative to negotiate a licensing agreement with a big elephant in the place, which is called Elsevier. And that negotiation is still continuing. And if you see, we do have access to most of the open access dissertations, which are produced within the University of California system. And you can access them at no cost to you. You just type in e-scholarship, University of California, and you will be able to find any of the campus sites, such as Los Angeles, UC San Francisco, which has a big medical school. So if somebody in the crowd here or attendees are medical librarians, they'll be able to access that information. Some people are physics librarians, some people are chemistry librarians. They will be able to see what we have produced as open research. It's a mandate here. If anything is produced by state funding, it has to be made available to the state citizens, right? So nothing is like hidden from us. You can see what we have produced, what we have not. So that brings me back to HathiTrust Emergency Temporary Access Service. How many of you have heard about HathiTrust? Remember, there was a big project which everybody partook in, which was about Google Books. Remember that big project when Google say we are going to set information free, we are going to, in India, we always talk about Ranganathan's laws, right, in librarianship. And here, those laws were like inherited of a sort by Google. And they said, okay, we are going to digitize everything which libraries have at no cost. But then what do you do with that digital stuff? How do you preserve it for the posterity? Becomes a challenge. So many of the university libraries got together, like University of Michigan, University of California, and others, and they decided to create a repository of out of copyright as well as in copyright materials. And the name is very funny because many American colleagues say, who came up with this Hathi-Trust? Hathi, I believe, means elephant. It's a symbol of wisdom in some cultures. It also size matters. So all these big universities deposited their books, which we can access. And you see in the right hand, there's a login function in the screen, and you log in and you'll be able to access a lot of books which are still under copyright. So let me just show you quickly how it works. So there are 17 plus million digitized items. We can access any of the books which are in our physical collections in physical format in such a way that we can see them digitally. So we don't have to go to campus to check out a book. But if a particular book is still under the copyright, and if it's on the campus, we can see its digital copy, which was done for the preservation purposes. And that's very important for us because many of our users who are social sciences, humanities, natural sciences colleagues, they can access books. But in the case of natural sciences, engineering, math, it's slightly different because most of them rely on articles. So then comes in play Wiley, Taylor and Francis, and other databases. Am I being heard clearly right now, or it's a problem, Dr. Silo? Still, we are okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So article databases means all of us, we have different article databases, right? It depends on, these are the proprietary article databases where we pay either the annual fee or we outright purchase a particular database. You can see at UC Berkeley, we have access to about 1,415 databases in all different disciplines. So like I said, physics, chemistry, biochemistry, microbiology, nuclear physics, computer sciences, name what you want. So I'm just showing you a few. And if you see there's a JSTOR, I believe you use JSTOR open access. Do you use it? I can create a special guide for our Indian viewers if it's needed about all the open access databases, not necessarily DOAJ or something, but to show you that lot of knowledge is open, which you can use to help your user. So for example, my area, it's Slavic and Eastern European Studies in India. JNU is one university which has Eastern European Studies section, for example, or Bombay University, or Mumbai University, sorry, or Kolkata, or Chennai. But not many universities care for what is happening in Russia, right? But Americans do care for it. So we have a separate East Asian Studies library, which deals with China, Japan, Korea. I deal with most of the Eastern Europe. So that includes Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and I also deal with complete Latin America, Brazil, Argentina. So you need to know those languages and you need to know their culture. You need to know what is getting published in those areas, how much is of relevance to our users, and purchase it for our library. You may say, oh, Liladhar, you are acting like a colonialist. It's not about colonialism because we digitize, for example, we do digital grants in overseas libraries whereby we digitize and preserve their artifacts. We don't take those books out of, for example, out of India. We leave them in India, we digitize them, give one copy to the institution which holds those, and the other copies are deposited in our library for long-term preservation. So it's an iterative and collaborative process. You see, for example, there's an ACM journals database. Once again, We are coming in the ETAS. I just wanted to check how many items, just as it did Mizoram. I don't know why I did it, because it was Aizawl University, Mizoram University is inviting me to speak. So I did some searches for Mizoram. If you see for India, there are 100 and I believe 31,495 catalog results. Now imagine amount of knowledge is there, right? Information is there. And not all of the information is going to be of utility all the time to all people. Correct? You don't look for information just because you don't have anything to do. Saturday morning or Sunday morning, you're sitting at the desk in the library, there is no patron, you start browsing the web. I have seen that happening in some cases where people are on the Facebook or on the WhatsApp. That happens in our lives because human beings need social interaction. But with the same token, HathiTrust ETAs will open a different world for you. There are a lot of open access items, so you don't really need to pay. Anybody can look through those items. It doesn't allow us, for example, if a particular book is still protected by the intellectual property right law or the copyright, we are not allowed to download it, but we can still read it online. Why not? And that enables our users. So for example, if somebody is doing a research project on tribes of Mizoram, and they cannot go to library to pick up a 19th century British observer writing about Mizo tribes, a book, let's assume. They can get it through HathiTrust without leaving their home. So we are leveraging this in the times when we are closed. This is the function of the library, to continue to provide service despite the fact that there are a lot of constraints. Life must go on, right? Life cannot be put on hold. There are also digital collections at UC Berkeley Library. If you Google it right now, when you're at your phones and smartphones and look at Calisphere, you will see an image database, which are all digitized images. And I did some searches on the term Sikhs. So we have 23 collections which deals with the Sikhs, for example, their photos. If you know that Indian independence movement, some of those freedom fighters came to San Francisco. That's where they established a Gadar party. So San Francisco, the Bay Area, has a long-standing relationships with Indian subcontinent, or now we call it South Asia. Now the last, I think it's the penultimate slide. I know I rushed through the presentation because I wanted to have more time for us to interact and to have a question and answers. For example, if you look at ebooks prices, if a particular book is, for example, available for $25 as a print book, if you look at the ebook licensing, and I'm just showing it as an example, this I'm not, in no way I'm making characterization for the cost market. So if you see here non-linear access, where one user can borrow it, is $150, for example, for one book on a particular Russian artist, Magda Nachman, who was married to P.T. Acharya, who was India's communist leader, and she lived in Bombay at one point. And I believe she died there. So if you see, that particular book becomes like 3-user license is $187.50. Unlimited access. So let's say we have 34,000 students. If they want to access it at the same time, which is highly unlikely, we pay $225, $100, $225. It's a lot of money as compared to $25. So how sustainable is the e-access? This is the question I wanted to ask you. And now you understand why countries like India, also even Singapore, if you see Malaysia, all those places are trying to go open access route. I'm not saying that all information is in open access, but pretty much a lot of information can be extracted from the open sources in the world. So you might want to think from your library's budgetary points, what is possible? The part of global south, which is really coming up, like countries like Brazil, like India, they have a lot to think about, because sometimes we don't have resources and people are quite resourceful in getting access to the information, right? So how can we leverage e-access? Next slide is about the ebooks. We have a specific library guides, which you can use to provide access to both proprietary as well as open access ebooks. And I'm just showing you some of the screenshots. There's a guide to open, free, and affordable course materials. So one of the things I forgot to mention is as soon as we were closed physically, the classes had to continue. The access had to be provided. So library initiated a task force as well as implemented a service called e-reserves. Do you use that service in India? That's the question I wanted to ask all of the participants, whereby a faculty designates a particular book to be scanned for the purposes of use in the class. So they sent us the list, it gets scanned and it is protected by VPN, and authenticated users can log in to get access to it. Let me show you the next slide. So another thing is that open access as a tool. So open and free content from JSTOR. Of course, some people say, why are you showing me this boring JSTOR? It has been around for ages. But many of our social scientists and humanities professors, in India, the priorities are slightly different. We focus on natural sciences or computing or engineering, and for obvious reasons, right? In India, that happens. Here also, there are a lot of open access engineering resources, but my expertise is in social sciences and humanities. So we always leverage open and free content on proprietary databases to show to our colleagues, to our students. For example, Cambridge Core, means Cambridge University is known worldwide. You can access that information in India. So it is, for example, Cambridge Core has open access component if you do search accordingly. The other one is Springer Open, for example. Most of us know what Springer Open is. It has a lot of open access journals as well as text as the books there, which you can access. So on this short and sweet, let me say, presentation, I leave you with the ending thoughts. The thoughts are such: how are you dealing with the COVID-19 situation in your libraries? What are some of the measures which you have put in place to prevent the spread of the virus? Are you open for business? Do you go to work every day like some of us do? We get up in the morning, we work from home, our day starts exactly at 8 o'clock and sometimes finishes when it finishes. Sometimes we are professionals. We are not getting paid by hour. Sometimes we work late. Sometimes, it depends on the student needs. So we are there for the students. Thank you so much for your attention. And I will leave this particular presentation on. If you have any question and answers, I can try to answer to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you, Dr. Liladhar, for enlightening us with your knowledge about the e-resources and how to access them during COVID-19 pandemic. So there are a few questions like which I would like to take out. Uh, the first, is there any opportunity one can get abroad if I pursue MLISC from India? This is the first question.
Right. So it depends on your context, right? What do you mean by getting abroad? For example, some people go as a tourist. Of course, I cannot say, no, you're welcome. You have visa, you come. When you say that you want to have further professional development, for example, at that point, you can apply to different PhD programs. I believe that our colleagues here, Dr. Silo, can say how she was a Mortensen Fellow, for example, in University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So there are a lot of different opportunities, and that you have to discuss with your immediate supervisors and what is possible. There is no one single answer to your complicated question. What opportunities are there? Some people go overseas. For example, I have seen people going to Gulf, for example. For whatever reasons they go, they have MLIs, they end up in, for example, in Dubai or Sharjah. And I'm not saying that that's bad or good, but some people might not be happy. So you have to define for yourself what is happiness. What can you achieve by going overseas? What are your goals and objectives? And what is the life for me is the art of possible. At my age, if I say, oh, I want to go to the moon, is it possible? So the question is very complicated. It's for me, it's very difficult to answer. Either you can pursue higher education, but higher education costs money. And in the United States or other countries of Western Europe, the cost of education is quite high. And especially foreign students pay, I think, double or triple, right, for their education. So then you have to look at cost versus benefit analysis. Does that your answer question to a certain degree? I cannot, it depends on the specific situation. You know, it's very difficult to give, create a pant that fits everybody or shirt which fits everybody by one answer. What do you think, Dr. Silo or Dr. Manoj Kumar?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So we'll go to the next question. The question is, how can we make the content in our print collections more accessible and relevant in a post-COVID-19 period?
Oh, that's an excellent thought-provoking question. So you need to look at your capacities, institutional capacities first, right? For example, if your institution allows for limited digitization, where the materials can sit on your dedicated server that can be accessed through home using different authentication measures, such as proxy, such as VPN, then you will be able to make those materials available, provided your copyright laws allow it. Always remember that there is no hanky panky around copyrights. You know, sometimes you walk in some countries and you see all the Microsoft cracked windows getting sold on the streets. You see that. But here it's slightly different scenario. So it depends on your institutional capacities, what you can do to provide e-access. However, there are a lot and lot of open access sources which you can access. Even if you speak, for example, if you read Russian, there are a lot, whole range of Russian physics, chemistry, math journals are available open access online. But then the language barrier sets in. So you can always leverage open access in your country, wherever you are, to achieve some positive results. You can look at if you have any special collections items. So let's say there are manuscripts in your university. If you have funding to get them digitized, you should apply for different grants. But it again depends on the institutional structure. You always take that in consideration, right? With whom you work, who is your supervisor, what are your administrative priorities? So to answer this question, once again, it's an excellent question. We all have to think together about how can we make access sustainable in the post-COVID era.
Thank you, Dr. Liladar, for the excellent question. I mean, like this excellent answer to the question. So we have another question from Mr. Ganapati. The question is, how can we use the electronic resources like Skyrocket during the pandemic?
Okay, how are you using them now? That's my question to Mr. Ganapati. How are you using them currently? Tell me, because you're telling me you want to use these resources. Skyrocket? That's the resource. I don't know the name of that resource, to be honest with you. You're putting me on spot. You know, knowledge is infinite and human brain is finite. So it will depend on the discipline. Can you please provide some concrete example of how you use Skyrocket, I believe, right? That's the question you are asking me. How do you use it in your context? Tell me. I mean, there are a lot of like gray sites. You know, gray sites means there are sites which are, there are servers sitting all over the world where people can access, but is it really legitimate? That's the question you have to answer, right? It costs money to produce knowledge. It costs money to produce a crop. If you go and take somebody's a kisan's or a farmer's crop, how will he feel without giving permission to them, without having the permission to do so? So these are the questions you have to answer. I have not used Skyrocket, so I cannot comment or you know, deny. I cannot give answer to such hypothetical question.
Okay, thank you. So another question is here from Miss Ricky Chakraborty. Have any journal or offline review journal published from University of California, Berkeley? Maybe this is related to library science, I believe. Like
Okay.
he or she did not mention it very clearly. Any e-journal or offline reviewed journal published from California University.
Yeah, for example, California Agriculture, just Google it and you will get open access content to it, which is available to open how to improve your crop yields, because California is considered the bread basket, right, of the United States. We produce a lot of different crops. So you might want to look through that. So there are a lot of, there is an ecology journal, which is produced by UC Berkeley, which can be seen. For example, can I show e-scholarship to our colleagues? Can I show it quickly by sharing the screen?
Yes.
Is that okay to answer her question, or it's a problem because we are running out of time or something? If you want, I have no problem sharing knowledge, because this is all about that.
Yes.
Why are we hiding things from life? No, we don't need to. Let me just pull it up.
All right.
All right, so let me share this screen. You can see the screen like I see. Typical Google, I typed in e-scholarship University of California. Do you see that? You asked me a question about the journals. Doctor, you can see it, right? What I'm, yeah. So let it load. So these are all open access journals. So I don't, and they're peer reviewed, many of them. So Cliodynamics, for example, Electronic Green Journal deals with the issues of ecology. It is done through UCLA, but it's deposited here in e-scholarships. Journal of Astronomy and Culture. Languages of the Caucasus, for example, where that war was going on between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So that's Caucasus region. Very, very narrow. Race and yoga. I don't know how many people use that, but yeah, it's there. There are a lot of different choices you have. So you asked me about what is possible. So these are the open access journal through UC system you can access, and there are some archived journal. So I was telling you about the California Agriculture. Here it is. And how many of you have used that OAC core OAC ac.uk site, which allows you to look at the open access content? You can do that also. Does that answer your question? And I wanted to show you our library's website quickly. Sorry, it's taking time to load. You can still access UC libraries, services, and resources during the closure. Here is how. So nothing is closed per se. Even we are physically closed to a certain extent, but we are still open. We have contactless pickup service. So you can request a book from the library. It is pulled and made ready for you. We don't touch the object. It's delivered in a contactless format to our users. You can always see currently closed. Learn more about reopening plans. And this is the HathiTrust, which I was telling you. What is the next question, Dr. Silo? Sorry.
The next question is there an e-reserve access service in your library? Is it a SDI service?
Yes, I was just mentioning about e-research services. That was the first priority for us. And I'll show you where the e-reserves are. Here you go. Instructors need help with the course reserve. Learn more about this service. Students get free digital access for books, articles, videos for your classes. And there are the ways you do it. You just email the e-reserves at library, it's the list at berkeley.edu. And in the spring semester, which will come at the end of January, we are getting ready now because it will be still remote work for most of us. There are resources for people who have disabilities, who cannot see, who cannot hear, visually impaired people. We have those resources also. We have subject librarians. So it's such a narrow subject. You can look it up. Astronomy and astrophysics, one person. Bioengineering, one person. Biological sciences, other person. So you can one can contact them, and get the information you need. I wanted to show you some other ebooks for you if we have time.
Yes, we still have time.
Okay. Books and ebooks. And if you go down, see ebook databases, ebooks at Berkeley, formerly eBrary. So let's look at that. I'm going to do search for just very big key term, word term, India, and see what we get. And we can do by subjects, faceted searches. Sorry, it's taking some time, but it shows you what areas these books are from. If you want to see science databases, I can show you those of medical epidemiology, for example. Let's click on that. So there are a lot of different books, which are ebooks. And if you, let's say, let's type in term search within this book, India. I don't know whether I'll get any results, but I'm going to try. And it takes you there. Okay, so this is a ProQuest ebook central. So that gives an idea. I was telling you about the databases. There are e-journals, for example, here, if you see it. And we have 24/7 online chat. You can get help. See help, research help. So it's 24/7. So if let's say I'm sleeping right now, it's 10:30 in the night here, for example, somebody else can answer the question. It's not like you're stopping the library work. We continue. And we constantly get emails in the morning. When I wake up, there are like about 15 to 20, 30 emails from different students. I need this, I need that. Can you help me with my research question about something? And we set up research appointments. So you can do that also under the help. Through subject disability resources, contact us. Okay. What else? There is a very Unpaywall. How many of you have used this add-on on your browser, which is called Unpaywall, which allows you to access legally available articles? So let's look at Unpaywall. Let's Google it and see what we get. So you don't need to pay. These are legally accessible, open access content from over 50,000 publishers. Look at the amount of articles are there. You just download the extension for your Chrome, and whenever it's open access, you will be able to access it. You just download it like I did. I also use Unpaywall, which is legally allowable. Yeah, I don't know this Pocket Rocket. I never not used it, but I think you're tempting me to use it, but I hope I don't get in trouble, right? Because we have to stay within the norms of legal frameworks. Okay, so for example, you can use that. Any other questions for now, or?
Okay, Dr. Liladhar, there is another question because In this session, we have many students and scholars who have joined this program. So I
Sure.
think many of the students are interested in this field, in this regard. So the question is, may you provide some website or link for scholarships for higher studies in USA for students from India?
Wow. I think there's a US information service in each country, and they have something called American Corner. Let me just Google it. That will be the best bet, but I can show you some websites. I think American Corner it's called within the embassy. So see, educational advising for those who want to study in the US. It is official American government website. Don't pay any agents. They will rip you off sometimes. Go to the official source. You can do it yourself. I understand that most of us do not know that, right? So sometimes people go to some agents, oh, can you give me the information how to study in former USSR to Russia or to, I don't know how that really works, but American Spaces is the official website of US Embassy and consulates. Each consulate has a corner called American, what do you call it? American Corner. Yeah, American Spaces. So you can utilize those resources and they help you. New Delhi has it, Kolkata has it, Chennai has it, Dosti House, Mumbai has it, Hyderabad and Ahmedabad. So I know maybe it's very difficult to access it in Mizoram, but the closest one is in Kolkata. Does that help you? Because I don't want to give you any misleading information, right? Because it's not because I'm afraid of providing information, but I have to be right and correct on what I say, what I do, because we are bound by ethical standards in life. So you are telling me, how can I go? There are scholarships. For example, you have to look at the easy work is scholarships, and then you do search like EDU, for example. This is for the American students, Federal Student Help. And that's for the US students. We have access to FAFSA and different scholarship, federal student aid, right? It is always make sure that it's official website. It's not my website or some Rajkumar's website or Ali's website or somebody's website. No, it has to be official government website, right? There are all the financial aid offices in American universities. So depending on where you want to go, there is a free scholarship search tools. But that's mostly for US citizens. You see, I don't have knowledge about how foreign students get the scholarship. That you need to find with your Ministry of Education. I think Ministry of Education of India has, I have never looked at it. I think there are different types of scholarship, right? There you go, Department of Higher Education in India. So you might want to look through that. I really don't know. I have not used that website. Sorry, I don't know how to answer your question very specifically. Rashtriya Chhatra Vritti, Videsh Chhatra Vritti. That's where it is, right? Videsh means foreign, I believe. Samanya Disha Nirdesh. I really don't know how it works. Okay, here we go. China, Korea, Israel, Japan, Belgium, Italy, Mexico, Turkey, Agatha Harrison Memorial Fellowship. So let's say where you want to go. Let's say Japan. I don't know how that works, but you have your own programs through your government, and I don't know how efficient they are, and I have no experience, so I cannot tell you really. They're Chhatra Vritti, so they go by age. In the States, it's illegal to discriminate on age. You cannot tell people if you're 40 years old, you want to go to school. They cannot tell you, oh, no, you're to grandfather, no, you go back, get ready to die. No, you cannot do that to human beings. They are anybody's welcome. You know, when I was studying in my PhD program, there were students who were 62. Nobody laughed at them. Nobody said, oh, no, it's time to retire, go home. No, everybody is welcome to study. slightly different societal norms and slightly different pressures we all face. So I'm not judging anybody for different ways of thinking, but that's the way it is here. Does that answer question about the foreign scholarships? Because I don't want to give any misleading information. Best thing is American corners, as I said, in the US Embassy or consulate in Kolkata, for example, the closest one for Northeast.
So, Dr. Liladhar,
Yes.
we still have a number of questions, but I think like the time given is up. So I think this is the time to wind up the session, even though like we might, uh, even though we are very interested in, you know, uh, continuing this program. But like to end this program, like I would like to invite Dr. Manoj Verma to propose a vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jolly. Sir, on behalf of the Mizoram University, I would like to thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time and sharing your rich experience to our participants. Right now, sir, more than 230 online participant who is listening your online lecture, and they are definitely they have they are benefited through your vast knowledge experience what you shared with us. So thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time and collaborating, sir. This is just starting first time as Dr. Jolly have interaction with you, but me we have first time interaction. In future we make some more collaboration, and as much as possible we want to utilize your services, your knowledge, your expertise in library and information science, in growth and development of LIS profession, in particular in Northeast as well as whole country as India. So with this, sir, thank you on behalf of the Mizoram University. Thank you so much. Again, I thanks to Dr. Jwelly to taking a lot of pain to organize this webinar. I think more than 20 days she running, writing the mail and all these things. So thank you, madam, for your hard work and your efforts. And I would also like to thank our computer center staff who make all this technical arrangement to organize this, Mr. Suraj, Dr. Tulanga, and all other staff who is directly or indirectly involved. And last but not least, the most valuable person, the more than 230 participants. Really, I feel my sincere thanks to all the participants to giving their time, listening, continue. More than 230 participants. It is really great achievement, sir. So with this, sir, thank you so much once again. And with this thanks, I am concluding today's session. Just one announcement for our participant. Dear participant, already I shared the link, feedback form link 4 or 5 times. All of you have to fill up this form, and within 3 or 4 days, all of you will receive the participation certificate of this webinar. Okay, no need to worry. Within 3 days, if some problem you are facing, then our email ID is there. Coordinator, me and Dr. Jwelly, you can mail us. We will help you. With this, sir, thank you, sir. Dr. Leeladhar, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to me, and thank you for your time. We will continue this conversation. Feel free to share my email, but please don't clog up my email box, because I'll get millions of email and I will not know how to answer, where to start or where no. But I'm here to help anybody who needs the help. Okay. Have a wonderful afternoon. Anything else, sir, or should I just close the
Yeah,
seminar?
sir.
Or
Now, sir, you
okay.
can. Okay.
And thank you, Mizoram University, and to you and Dr. Silo, for making this possible for most of the colleagues from India. Have a good day. Bye.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, dear participant.
Thank you. I got feedback from Manipur and